want to come together this year. We are going to start. I just wanted to say, we called this very last minute. My name's Leila Oxford. I'm a great man to stand up to racism. We called this because some of you may be aware, but earlier this week, the police stopped the car with a black man in it. He got out of the car and they then shot him dead. It was an unarmed black man shot on the streets of Brixton. And so we want to make sure that no one forgets his name. We want to make sure that no one forgets that black lives still matter, whether it's in the US or whether it's here in Britain. It's important that we are out on the streets holding them to account. And that's why we're here. This was called very last minute. It was called yesterday.
I'm white, he's black. I'm over there, it's not my jacket. Fucking bullshit.
Where do you say over there? When do you say over there?
Alright, so that's where we come out. And I think it's really important that the world knows the truth. That while they mourn for the Queen, there are black people in their lives. This one in particular, this black man that we're here mourning today and remembering, was lost his life in the hands of the police. He was unarmed. Let's be very clear about this. They shot an unarmed man. In my book, that's murder. And just as we demand justice for George Floyd, we demand justice in this case as well. So we're going to be out there, we're going to keep reminding people that this happens. It's not just in America, it's here in Britain as well. And let me also be quite clear. This murder is the latest of a long line of murders that the police have committed. Let us never forget that. Our police are responsible for the death of black men, but actually also some white working class men as well, and we stand together with all the victims that have lost their lives in the hands of the British police, and we demand justice. That's why we're here. This is called at a very short notice, and I'm really pleased to see so many of you are. It's important that we call this today. I know there is a huge amount of action, political action, solidarity action that has been called off this weekend, but we felt it was important to continue being out on the street and holding those in power to account, and that's what today is about. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to hand it over to Lamin, who is one of the key organisers of today's event, to say a few words about why he thought it was important that we did call this event. So Lamin.
Right, so as this is the process, let's just start by saying no justice,
No peace!
no justice,
No peace!
no justice,
No peace!
no racist,
No peace!
no justice.
No peace!
Okay, so I've written a few words down I'd like to share it with you all. It's been a really difficult few days, so yeah, bear with me. So how far have we come since 2020 and the killing of George Floyd that sparked a worldwide movement? I remember when it seemed like everyone cared for a minute. I knew the world would keep spinning and racism wouldn't just disappear. But the news coming out of London this week has deeply angered me. A young black man called Kaba was shot and murdered by the Met Police. He was unarmed, he didn't have a weapon. This is a cold-blooded murder, and his family will have a void in their lives forever. Nothing will ever bring back their friend, their son, their brother, and their soon-to-be father. The only thing that will give them a shred of peace at night is knowing that officers responsible for taking his life are held to account. They can't just retire on a full pension and have a telling off and be suspended. They must be arrested and sentenced for murder of the killing of an unarmed man. It's our job as the public to hold them to account. Now what makes this case worse is that on Thursday it was very apparent to me and many others that the death of a queen, a 96-year-old woman who died peacefully, is more tragic to the general public than the death of a 24-year-old unarmed black man by the police and the very people who are supposed to protect us. Now something that I saw on social media summed it up pretty well to me. Imagine if the world showed this much care and empathy for the communities and countries that Queen Elizabeth and the monarchy colonised and ravaged. It's unthinkable the amount of violence the British Empire have subjected people to from all over the world. There's a generational trauma that people from these communities are still feeling to this day. So to mourn the Queen is unthinkable for so many people. And if you don't understand why, it's not our job to educate you on that. Just go read up on the concentration camps in Kenya. Queen Elizabeth is not a remnant of colonial times. She was an active participant in colonialism. She actively tried to stop independent movements, and she tried to keep newly independent colonies from leaving the Commonwealth. But that is a conversation for another day. Chris Kaba's name cannot be forgotten. It can't just be brushed under the rug. The media aren't going to cover it anymore. The news cycle has moved on, and it's going to be made even worse now with the death of the Queen. No justice, no peace. Now, I'm proud to see so many people here on the streets right now in Manchester, and I hope that we can send solidarity to Chris's family in London, and hopefully they feel a small amount of comfort and know that people out there do care and are prepared to fight for justice, and that black lives still matter and will always matter to us, regardless of it being a trend. Now, my worry back in 2020 was that the BLM movement could just become a trend and the world will keep spinning. For example, footballers have just stopped taking a knee all of a sudden now at the beginning of football matches. But the issues haven't gone away, so what happens now? Now, Chris isn't the first young black man to be killed at the hands of the police in the UK. We must remember Mark Duggan in 2011. We must remember Kevin Clark, who was restrained with excessive force whilst having a mental health breakdown and later died in custody. We must remember Christopher Older, an ex-British soldier who was killed in police custody in Hull back in 1998. On arrival at the police station, Older was dragged, handcuffed and unconscious from a police van and placed on the floor of the custody suite. Officers laughed and joked between themselves and speculated that Older was faking an illness. Now, CCTV footage has showed officers making monkey noises over his lifeless body. Now, sadly, there are many more cases and names of people we don't know about, and stories that haven't made it to the press or the media. When is enough enough? We must come together now more than ever and fight for injustice and fight for justice. Nothing we do will bring these people back. Nothing will end the suffering these families have endured. The very least they deserve is justice and a fair trial and a criminal justice system that serves us all. Until we're treated equally and, more importantly, represented across the board in education, in healthcare, the workplace and the criminal justice system, this vicious cycle will continue. Change is coming, times will get better, but it's not going to be easy. Let's get organised, let's mobilise, let's continue to shout about these stories and say their names, and we must hold the police to account. All power to the people. RIP to Chris Kaba and any other victim of police violence in the UK. No justice, no peace. Let's keep fighting.
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
Alright, there's another one. It goes like this. No justice, no racist police. I think there is no racist police. We'll try that one again, shall we? No justice, no peace, no racist police. 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 All right.
Hello everyone. As you can imagine, I'm really angry that we're here again and this has happened again. I actually feel despair to the way that I see people reacting to this, or shall I say, not reacting to what's gone on. It's almost like Chris Kaba being murdered has been brushed under the carpet because we've got this 12-day news cycle all about the Queen. And it's really disappointing because he was a father, he was a son, he was engaged, so he was going to become a husband. 24 years old, he had his entire life ahead of him. And I'm not seeing outrage. And I don't understand why. It angers me and makes me upset that we're here again. We had the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement throughout lockdown in 2020. People said that they cared. People said that they wanted to make a difference. And where's everyone now? Do you understand what I mean? How disappointing that is. How we want more. We want more people to stand here with us together. And I must say, I thank you all for being here today. I love that you're here supporting the cause. But we need more. We need to keep talking about this. Keep spreading the message. Justice for Chris Kaba. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. Picking up just what the sister just said about why you couldn't get into Piccadilly Gardens I think it was June 2020. You couldn't get into the city for everybody mobilising to say Black Lives Matter. And your question, where are they now? And I would say that where they are, whether they know it or not, they are everywhere, okay? Just because people aren't out doesn't mean they don't know. But they maybe don't know how to get involved or how to connect with what we're trying to do. Which means that anybody who is a trade unionist, who is on a picket line, needs to bring the question of anti-racism onto that picket line, needs to bring the issue of Stop Rwanda onto that picket line, and needs to bring the issue of police brutality. We had a man here just talking about homeless people in Manchester being brutalised by the police. That's what needs to be brought forward. But also, we need to make sure that we create platforms for refugee people. That is extremely important. If you've got a platform, we've got refugee people who want to talk. We need to get people on the platform. No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
Usually it's a microphone. My name's Maddie, I'm with Calais. So usually I'm here talking to everyone about the rights of refugees, about the fact that we need to stop the Rwanda policy. But this week I just started a new job at a school, and one of our key policies is trying to get our minority students to understand that they can be anything. They can do anything. But this week I've had students come up to me and they've said, "Miss, have you heard what's happened? Have you heard about Chris Kaba?" They're speaking about it at home. How am I meant to stand in a classroom and say, as an authority figure, that people that work for the state are trustworthy and that you can be anything when their role models are killing black people? This is the third time in 3 months. Third time. We need institutional change. Yeah. We need someone to stand up to hold the police to account. We need these young people to see that things will change. So thank you to everybody that's come out today. Thank you to everybody that yells week in, week out that black lives do matter, and no justice, no peace. No justice,
no peace.
Yes, Maddie.
Right, my name is Ian Haddy. I'm from Unison, Northwest Unison Black Members, and I brought my banner. I said I'd bring it every time there was a protest for Black Lives Matter, that we bring the banner to these protests, and we'll keep doing it because it is so important that we note the murder of Chris Kaba and that we fight for justice for him and his family at this time. And it isn't just for those that think that somehow Black Lives Matter is just an American thing. Well, it's definitely not an American thing. It's a British thing. It's a UK thing. It's a worldwide thing, isn't it? Because you know, our government doesn't care how many refugees die in the Channel. It doesn't care how many die in the Mediterranean. It doesn't mind how many they killed in Afghanistan and Iraq. These are all black lives that matter, that they killed across the world as part of colonialism, imperialism through the year. And that's why I object to celebrating the death of a 96-year-old woman. And that's why it's so important that we remember people like Chris Kaba, because they are more important in their lives that they've lost than the people in royalty that represent the British state and the Union Jack. I grew up as a kid in London, and the Union Jack meant to me racists that wanted to beat me up. That's what it meant to me, and it still means that to me today. I want to live in a world where people are respected from wherever they come from in the world, whatever their culture, whatever their history, that they're welcomed into this country. If they come here to work, to live, to be free of persecution, to be free of war that often people like the UK have created in this world. And we'll keep fighting for that justice, that solidarity, that humanity. What's so important is that we speak out. We have to speak up every time that a death occurs. We have to speak for justice for everyone. We have to fight for a world of solidarity, where we fight together to create a better world. And we have to see that actually what do our rulers want to do? They want to use racism to divide us. They want to scapegoat refugees or the death of black people so they can continue to make profits at our expense. And that's why it's so important that the trade unions struggle a fight against the cost of living that this government's giving billions and millions to the rich whilst trying to starve us and stop us from being able to eat our homes. It's brought together with a fight for equality, for people's rights, whether it's LGBT rights, whether it's trans rights, whether it's black people's rights to live free of persecution. And our side is bigger than their side. Our message of solidarity can change the world. We have to go out and build that. I want to do one plug. There is an international conference on the 15th of October which Stand Up to Racism organised. It's international because racism is international, as I said to you before. And we need to regroup at that conference, go down to it in large numbers, come back even stronger to be able to fight together for the justice that Chris Kaba families need, but we all need to live in a better world. Thank you very much.
Is that okay? Hiya, my name's Vanessa and... Okay, my name's Vanessa and I'm part of Manchester Stand Up to Racism. And we've just come from a meeting. Around the corner where we were discussing the murder of Chris Kaba, but we were also discussing the fact that Britain First, which is a fascist party, is now setting up their headquarters in Eccles in Salford with a plan to stand some councillors in the elections in May. Now obviously, Britain First, as I said, it's a fascist party. There's a long history that goes back to the BNP and no doubt the National Front in the earlier years. We know what these people are about. We know that we need to organise ourselves immediately in order to resist the Britain First. When fascist parties raise their ugly heads, what tends to happen is you see a huge increase in the number of attacks, racist, Islamophobic attacks, whether they're name-calling but also murder. We've seen that throughout the years, and I don't need to tell a lot of you people here today that that will happen. We're therefore, as part of Stand Up to Racism, we will be organising across faith groups, across our trade unions throughout Greater Manchester, across campaign groups. What we'll be doing is organising to resist and ensure that Britain First does not get any councillors in this city. Basically, we've had in the Northwest a really, really important, good history of resisting the Nazis. In Oldham, we ensured that Nick Griffin didn't get in. Only recently, in the European elections, we all ensured that Tommy Robinson wasn't elected. So we know that we can do it. But what we do is we have to have a concerted effort and campaign in order to ensure that doesn't happen. So I would urge any of you who's not part of Stand Up to Racism to join us. We have a QR code, you can Google us. We want people to join us because I tell you, in Oldham 20 years ago, when we ensured Nick Griffin didn't get a hold, despite his terrible attacks on people in Oldham, it took us years and it took us weeks and weeks and weeks of hard organisation to do that. So we need people to get involved with Stand Up to Racism because you all play a part in that. If there are the more of us, you know, we can do it. The other thing is, touching on what Amina said earlier, we've got a huge economic crisis that is going to get worse. We know that the Tories will continue to use racism to try and divide us. That again is why we need to come together. Whether we're on our picket lines, whether we're in our schools and in our workplaces, please encourage people, encourage your trade unions to join Stand Up to Racism and to use this as a platform because we need to organise and we need to ensure that we kick out, well, ensure the fascists don't get in, but also that we create a world that benefits all of us, yeah, not just the minority. Thank you.
Thanks so much for everyone that's spoken and thank you for coming. What I'm going to ask people to do is we have an independent journalist here who is filming this event and wants to take some footage. So what he'd like us to do is all of us hold up our placards on our messages and he's got a drone which is going to, am I right, he's going to take it up and take a picture from the top down. So if people have got posters, can I get them? Maybe come around this area here.
A bit more open. So over here.
Over there. Okay, so we're going to organise. Take the banners over and then we'll get to the centre of the square and he'd like a picture from the dog.
So I can get it as well.
Yeah.
Anyone been on TV before?
Alright, ready? Everyone ready? Yeah. Alright, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, action! Keep it there, keep it there. Right, 3, 2, 1, keep them up. Awesome, thank you.
Get one more photo.
Yeah, I can get a picture. Do you want me to get it from there?
From here, I think.
You need to take it on your phone? Oh, do you want to take it on this and send it up? Alright, Brad, move. Sorry, move back. Alright, Brad, what's your end? I'll just take it then. Alright, Brad, move back, move back, move back. Move back, you need to get further back, move back. Gonna come in a little bit more. Alright. 3, 2, 1, smile. One more. 3, 2, 1, smile.
No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you tune in next time. Yeah, make sure you tune in next time. Thanks for watching. Smash like, share, and in fact, I'm not even going to reply to you.